County Board of County Commissioners meeting that's being held here at Sweetwater County, Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. for the Sweetwater County Intergovernmental Joint Leadership Meeting. We do have a quorum present. We have two commissioners in the chambers, Commissioner Lloyd and myself, and we have two commissioners on Zoom, Commissioners Toman and Commissioner Smith, and we have Commissioner Shanefield being excused, who may join us late. So with that, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening. And again, welcome again. At this time, I would entertain a motion to suspend Robert's rules.
I'd so move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lloyd to suspend Robert's rules. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. With that, we'll do a little roll call, see who's here. Green River, Mayor Rust, and anybody who's with you.
Nope, that's it.
Just Mayor Rust. Okay. Thank
That's
you,
correct.
Mayor. Thank you for joining us. For Rock Springs, Mayor Como.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. City of Rock Springs has Councilor Demas, Councilor Hickerson, Councilor West, Councilor Zadi from the council. There's a couple phone numbers I see. I'm not quite sure if we have someone else or not. So that's what I see.
Okay, I'll screen. We'll screen to those numbers and ask for who's present. Okay, Mayor?
Sounds good, Mr. Chairman.
We'll wait till we get through all the cities and towns. Also, how about the city of Granger or town of Granger? Nobody? Wamsutter. Anybody out there from Wamsutter? Bear Oil. No one? And Superior. Okay, would you scroll to the phone numbers, please? See what they are up there. Okay, we have a phone number ending in 2136. Could you tell us who you are? Two one three six, area code 307 208 21. Is that right? 208 or 209 2136. Would you identify yourself, please, if you're a town council member or not? Okay, do you have a waiting room? Pardon? Yeah, because this is a regular meeting, it's, if they don't want to identify themselves, put them in the waiting room. And if they want to speak, they can raise their hand if we need them. Okay, any other phone numbers? Okay, I think we're pretty well there. I do see other people up there that are part of the cities and that have been part of this. With that, we'll move forward. We'll move up with our committee updates. First of all, that would be special purpose tax, 6 penny. Commissioner Shanefield leads that she is not present. She is excused. Keaton, I know you're Councilman Keaton West. I know you're part of that committee. Is there anything you can report on that?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. No, I have nothing to report. We've had no discussions kind of since this general purpose tax is taking the front lines. So
very good. All right. Thank you, Councilman West. We appreciate that. How about joint airport, Commissioner Toman?
Okay, I found the button.
Welcome.
Construction is moving forward.
Very good.
For the new terminal, I don't really have anything else to report. We meet on the 16th.
Meet on the 16th, and that's your regular meeting?
Yes, regular.
Okay, very good. At some point in time, it might be nice to have maybe Devin join us for a report on how that's coming, okay?
Good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Joint telecommunications, again, that's Commissioner Shanefield, that's the new group or not new group, the county just joined it. Is there any council members from either Green River, Rock Springs that serve on that telecommunications that could provide any report on it? Very good. We'll move forward. How about centralized inventory? Commissioner Toman, that's yours again.
Yes, the last I knew, Marty was working on doing a joint PPE. And I haven't gotten any updates or reports as far as if they have let the bids go for that, but she was working on that for the cities and towns.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any council member from either city that serves on that would have anything more to add? Thank you, Commissioner Toman. Outdoor rec, Mayor Rust, are you out? I know you're out there.
Yeah, Doc, pardon me, Mr. Chairman.
Fine.
So we have 2 meetings tomorrow with the outdoor rec. One is Mark Lyon, for the City of Rock Springs Parks and Recreation. I don't know if he's doing it, but he's been asked to speak, and I've been asked to speak to a group that's starting a regional meeting for Southeast Wyoming. And they've just given us 3 or 4, canned questions in terms of what's our experience been in starting ours, just to, help them out. So I'm participating in that tomorrow morning at 9:20. I think Mark probably is too, or he's been asked to. And then at 3 o'clock, the steering committee for the outdoor recreation group is, I believe, having a Zoom meeting. So we'll see what happens there. And based on our last meeting, in which we went through, and I reported this at our last intergovernmental meeting, we just went through the bylaws. Now we're ready to talk projects. So we're starting to get down to the nitty gritty. And I'm assuming the steering committee will begin to talk about that tomorrow. And then September 28th is the meeting of the large group. And that's in the afternoon from 2 to 4 o'clock. And that's at a place to be determined still. So that's the update there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Good update, and things are rocking along with that group. I think we'll see some things happening as if the weather holds very shortly. So thank you for that. That's our regular committee updates when we originally formed the Intergovernmental Joint Leadership Group. Is there anything more to add from either of the mayors or from anybody that serves on any one of those committees? Floor is open. Very good. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move into our general purpose initiative. First up is ambulance with Commissioner Smith. Commissioner, good evening.
Good evening to you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for having me. As a group, a committee, we've met a couple of times since our last meeting. We're kind of at the point where we don't believe that we can do much more in the way of an MOU among the towns and cities and different entities until we understand how the county is going to be served by the ambulance. So, is Farson going to join? Is, Granger, how is everybody going to be affected? Will they be receiving services? And that will help us determine percentages and payments from in this MOU. So we're kind of hanging on, waiting for that. We did talk about a number of items that we felt like maybe a roadblock or concerns that we've heard out there in the community. And I've passed those along to Commissioner Lloyd and Commissioner Shanefield as they're in the general purpose tax leadership for the committee that is talking about advertising and messaging and things like that. I did that just this afternoon, so not as though they've had it for a long time. But that's kind of where we're at. We are ready, willing, able, still standing committee. Just don't feel like we have a lot of work that wouldn't be duplicative with the group that's already working on the general purpose overall. So had some ideas for marketing and things, but I know that other committee is well on their way with that. And so we'll let them do their work. And if they need any help, we'll be happy to chime in as well.
Well, I believe so. Thank you very much. With that, anybody else like to add anything more with the ambulance? Any questions for the ambulance committee at this time?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Rust. I mean, Mayor Rust.
close enough, Doc. I just have a question for Jeff. You said you've had a couple of meetings recently. Does Green River have a representative on the ambulance committee?
Mm-hmm.
I know we did.
Yeah, we do. We've got Councilman Chris Meets, Ryan was there last meeting. And I believe that's the representation, but Chris has been at both meetings that we've had the last 2 Fridays.
And how about, she was originally on it, Sherry Bushman. She wasn't?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Mayor. Other questions for Commissioner Smith and the ambulance committee? Thank you. Moving forward to joint communications, Commissioner Lloyd.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Wendling. We met again on the 1st at 3:30 with a well-represented meeting from Green River, Rock Springs, the county, and also Wamsutter had representation. Kind of like the ambulance committee, we're at this point, we feel like there's not a lot more than we can do. We've provided ideas from both of our meetings to the main committee for marketing. Didn't really have a lot of conversation the last one about marketing because that was our first meeting. But at this point, we're kind of on hold until we get further direction and kind of know the direction we're going in, specifically to how we support the situation. I think the biggest conversation that occurred at that meeting was we did talk about what some of the negative comments were in the community that we did talk at this last meeting and kind of talked about those a little bit. And then the biggest discussion was having some information shared, so I like to call it, from the legal eagles of John De Leon and Richard Beckwith and Galen West, talking about how we could use funding or not use funding and moving forward with the information sharing, because we got to be careful on semantics there with this proposal. So that was probably the biggest topic, with really, hey, when you have a final determination, please share with us. So that's kind of where we're at this point.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Any questions out there for Commissioner Lloyd, or is there any other of the joint communications committee members out there that like to comment? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. The next up is the economic development tax. I put that on our radar to report about it. And I had Commissioner Shanefield down for it, but she's excused from this meeting. As I look through the group, is there anybody from SCDC out there that can talk towards what, or talk and let us know how it's coming for information wise or anything coming out of for the economic development quarter tax? I think a good one, Commissioner or Mayor Rust. Reed Clevenger didn't show up, did he?
No, he had another meeting, Doc.
Okay,
Mr.
Tim?
Chairman,
yeah, go ahead, Tim. I think you're on SEDC. Do you know what kind of work's been done towards that quarter penny for the general purpose?
so one of the primary goals for SEDC, and I'd like to talk a little bit maybe on item number 4 when we start talking about the advertising for the general purpose tax as well, is to clearly I don't want to say market or promote, but explain to the taxpayers what these dollars are going to be utilized for. And the intent from SEDC is not colorful pamphlets and marketing and things like that, but just basically details of the facts of where this money would be spent, infrastructure, jobs, improvement of water, and access into the industrial park. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is and I'm not quite sure if you guys all received the most recent pamphlet that's being proposed for the tax itself, but SED is on board with just that. Just bringing forward the facts of where the money would be spent for, not so much pens, paper, pamphlets, those things like that inside the office, but very large things like job promotion, business development, infrastructure type of needs. That's the goal of SEDC. If that answers that portion of your question.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it shows that SEDC is working on the economic development piece for this general tax and is working in the directions of information, which is obviously what you shared just a moment ago, the pamphlet that is a draft that would be shared explaining the general purpose tax. It would be I think in all of our leadership's best interest because of how careful the statutes and laws are written, that it's very important that these things reach the hands of our legal advisors so they as a group can come together and okay that advertising or I should say information more so than advertising, that information that will be shared as we move forward. So I'm glad to hear that things are coming together. It's kind of a focus on market now. And I'm seeing that the general purpose group, which is the next group up, Tim, you shared a little bit about where the general purpose committee is going. Commissioner Shanefield isn't here, but is there anything more you'd like to add, or is there a committee member? I know Commissioner Lloyd's on it. Commissioner Lloyd, is there anything you need to add regarding the general purpose committee work?
I haven't been involved in a meeting since the 30th. I know they were going to break into kind of a subcommittee to move forward, so I'm not sure where we're at with that. Mayor Como, maybe, do you have any updates from that angle since you guys were going to break into that smaller group?
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
You may.
I'd like to also just stress a couple of ideas, suggestions. Our legal counsel from Green River County City did just recently have a conversation with the Attorney General's office. And I believe they were told the same of what we were concerned of, is any type of promotion or marketing of the tax would exempt us from the ability to use government funds to market or promote this tax. So I keep hearing the words market and promote, and those are words that we can't use.
Agreed.
This has to be nothing more than providing factual information, period. So if you have a chance, take a look at the pamphlet that was put out that today I just had the first chance to take a look at. And there's several things in there that we need to be cautious with, because it does, in a sense, suggest that this is a marketing pamphlet. Your 6 penny at work. I simply think it needs to say 6 penny facts. And then it goes down and it lists some of those facts, but it more or less says, did you know? And that's not what it should say. It should just say 6 penny facts, go through that list. And then what the tax would be used for. Just simply that. No fluff, no suggestion of how good this is going to be, how bad it's going to be without, we're not campaigning, and I don't want to get sideways with the taxpayers in the Attorney General's office. But if it's informational purposes, that's fine. But if we go into that, using those adjectives such as marketing or promotion, we're going to get sideways. And I can tell you, the city of Rock Springs, our group, has a little bit of heartburn over doing this right. And counselors, if you want to chime in, go ahead. But it should simply say what the tax will be used for, and show the facts that are clearly defined, not a promotion, not a marketing, not a will you support this, please support this. If you don't support this, but just straight black and white facts.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think the pamphlet that you looked at has not been disseminated, only because it's my feeling that before it gets disseminated, it needs to be looked at by our attorneys to make sure that we're abiding by information as prescribed by statute. So it's a great start, but it still needs to be pulled together and shared with our legal advisors so they can look at it and guide us in presenting any information and making sure that it's factual. Would you agree?
I do agree, and I also believe that we need to move on this. This came at us fairly quickly, but we don't have a lot of time.
No, we don't.
left.
You're
And from what
exactly
I
right.
understand, Reed's not on, but from what I understand, and Mayor Russ might be able to say, I understand we have expended about $6,800 on this pamphlet to date, and we have no MOU. I believe City of Green River pulled it off their agenda. You commissioners didn't discuss it. We tabled ours. From what I understand, our legal counselor, we're going to have a recommendation for some new wording for the MOU. Is that coming forward? Do we know? I do have Richard Beckwith, our city attorney, listening in, and he can probably chime in as well.
Regarding the MOU, Richard?
Yes, we did have a meeting with the Attorney General this morning, and that was discussed. we're going to be looking at some additional language to clarify precisely what the mayor said. As for what was discussed with the Attorney General, I will allow your attorneys to discuss that with you, as they are your attorneys. That's for the city of Green River and Sweetwater County. But we will be coming up with some new wording for the MOU that will touch upon this informational only aspect of the informational aspect of this particular project. So,
All right.
okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Richard. Mayor Russ, do you have anything to add?
I do. First off, it isn't correct that we spent $6,800. We haven't spent anything on it. That is going to be the cost that will be the approximate cost of the pamphlets, but that hasn't been expended yet. I would also suggest that as far as time, everybody realizes that we're running out of time and that needs to happen. That's because everybody waited until today, and that's when we just got the Attorney General's opinion, and we will hear from all of our attorneys individually, and then we can move on that now that we have that opinion. And just in terms of time, I'd like to just mention, at least this was a discussion, the feedback that I got within our own city today is that the time frame that we've been looking at in terms of getting the educational piece to the voters, it was mid-September. So we're not far off at all in terms of this, that we just need to move on this. And I would ask that from the comments that Mayor Como made, and I'm assuming perhaps in talking with Commissioner Lloyd today, the county may have some too, that as you know, this pamphlet just came out today so that you guys can look at it and make comments. And I think we need to get that feedback as soon as possible, make those changes, and then get them back out. And we can get this all done within the time frame that we've been talking about all along. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor.
Go ahead. Anything you want to add, Tim? Any council members from Rock Springs or Green River wish to add anything?
I've got some questions.
Go ahead,
Commissioner.
Councilman Zadi.
Just on the, I mean, and maybe Rick can help out with this too, but I do think we're walking a really fine line here with the marketing, not marketing. What else is going to be done? We're putting out educational material is what we're calling it, but we're going to put out flyers. I'd imagine there's going to be posts on Facebook. I know we're discuss social media and other media outlets. Is there any other marketing or promotions that's going to be done for this at all? Or are we just putting out information? I mean, to me, that's still marketing, and not calling it marketing. It's still marketing. I mean, no matter what we call it, we're still marketing. We're still promoting this tax. I mean, I think that we're, from a legal standpoint, I don't know how that works. For me, I'm uncomfortable with that completely, because it's an extremely thin line, I believe.
May I make a comment, Commissioner?
Go ahead. Rick.
Keep in mind that these are my opinions as an attorney, and not necessarily those of your own attorneys. They may differ somewhat, but Mr. Zadi, I agree with you, and it is my strong opinion that if you truly want, and I mean, certainly there are individuals that want to truly promote and market this tax. And you certainly can do that. You can do that in your own personal comments on Facebook. You can do so in your public statements. You can do so with other government officials jointly. You can put out your own press releases if you wish. The problem is when you start to expend government funds, and when we're talking specifically about expending government funds to market and promote the tax. And it is my opinion, and it is my strong opinion, based upon our discussions with the Attorney General this morning, that that is precisely the case, that you you have to use government money for, you can use government money for informational purposes only. You can certainly tell the public what you intend to do with the tax, what their tax money is currently spent on, that sort of thing. But when you begin to use promotional language, as the mayor pointed out, then that's when the line is crossed. It's really not that difficult of a line to discern. When you start to use government money, and again, this is my opinion, when you begin to use government money to encourage or discourage someone from taking or not taking a vote, then you are overstepping the bounds that are given to you under the Constitution as a governmental entity. You simply cannot use governmental money for that purpose. Now, how do you promote and advertise the tax? Well, the answer is very simple. That should be done by a third-party entity, and that third-party entity can be formed by individuals such as yourselves who all want to get together if you're interested in that, and getting some money together to actually go out and promote the tax. But again, in my opinion, it's not appropriate to use government funds for anything beyond simply informational purposes. And again, that is my opinion, and you can discuss that with your own attorneys, and we will all be discussing it as well as we go through this memorandum. But I can tell you that from my perspective, for my clients, I will be paying very close attention to that language to make sure that we are not expending government funds on promoting or advertising the tax, or rather promoting or marketing the tax.
Thank you. Mayor Como? Anything? I saw your face come on, that's all.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think we're that far off. What I would like to see, I just shared the pamphlet that I received with the governing body of Rock Springs, and I would like to see our legal counsel go through the pamphlet and find out what terminology, what words are creating heartburn. I've redlined my copy, and what I'd like to do is have everybody take a look at this, redline, give their comments, and get this back as soon as we possibly can. And if we're comfortable with it, fine. If not, then we're going to have to take a different route. But I don't think we're that far off. But I think we have some work to do, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. So I believe Mayor Rust stated that before. Everybody take a look at it, including our legal counsel, find out what words seem to be creating such some heartburn, and let's try to get this right and move it forward.
Yeah, and thank you, Mayor. We as well already have the call it pamphlet information in the hands of our attorneys here at the county, Danny Aramosby and Deputy Attorney Tebow, as well as Civil Attorney De Leon, and they will be looking at it, making recommendations. Again, like you said, I think we're close, but it needs a little bit of work, and then it'll be important that we go from there. So, and I think Mayor Rust, you're doing the same thing. Is that correct?
We are, and I just want to emphasize, same as what all of you guys have said, we need to do this. We need to give this our immediate attention. This is our #1 priority at the moment, or it should be. And I do also want to emphasize what Rock Springs attorney said, is informational purposes are appropriate. Don't forget that.
Exactly. And I think
there's a great deal of emphasis on the wrong language. Let's get the right language.
agreed. I think both you, Mayor Rust, and myself, as well as Chairman of the Commission, as well as the Mayor from Rock Springs, echo all the same words. We're not that far from it, so let's focus on the right thing, get it done. I think our legal entities do have it already. You're exactly right. It is a high priority. I do know the county is going to work on it. Just, I can't say immediately because we have, after we're done with this, it's a nighttime, but tomorrow things will be looked at And I think then at that point in time, our three legal people need to get together and make sure they're all on the same page, that it's information only and it meets that. And then present it to the rest of us as part of the MOU and make sure we follow by it. You know, that's what's, you know, not only is the MOU going to be important to be followed and that the sheet is information only and funded because it's information, but also when this tax passes, we're going to be, we want to make sure we're doing what we said we're going to be doing. So it's a matter of moving forward, not only transparent wise, but it's moving forward with integrity. Thank you. With that, anything more from the general purpose committee? Anybody that served on it from the councils that wanted to add anything? Okay, nothing with that. Let's move to, always put other on, and that's for the good of the order. In other words, something that somebody would like to bring up and for the next meeting or for this meeting. Okay, with that, the next thing, items for next meeting is any items for the next meeting besides what we went over tonight. They'll pretty well follow with that. These are meetings where if we have joint things going on, there's no reason to have those joint committees out there reporting for each of us. They can bring it forward and share information and then see each of us for approval if necessary. So anything for next meeting, commissioners, besides the agenda we followed tonight? Not commissioners, councilmen and commissioners.
Mr. Chairman,
Or Mayor.
I would, if we could, Mr. Chairman, maybe get an update or at least make sure that we're on track for the coal grant dollars. I know you brought us up to speed last time, but we really don't want to miss the boat on our opportunity to secure some funding for our county for through the coal grants.
As I shared with you, I'll check with Christina because she's watching that grant very closely and working with it and in touch with the not only the NACO people, which is the National Association of County Organizations, but she's also watching that grant closely. I'll talk with her and get an update from her and either have her present it or I'll present it. But I want you know, we are watching it very closely at the county as well. Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Lloyd.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman and Mayor Como, starting this Thursday at 8:15, I'll be having a weekly meeting. Christina is going to be giving me a weekly update on all of the Recovery Act stuff she's working on. She's asked to meet with me, like I said, weekly, just to keep me in the loop as her liaison to the commission. So I can also make sure I bring it up during that time, Mr. Wendley, Chairman Wendley.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. So I think we'll continue to follow that, Commissioner or Mayor Como. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner Wendling.
Yes, Commissioner Toman.
The Republican Party came out with a real strong resolution against this tax, and I just wondered how do we deal with that? Or shouldn't they have at least asked to get the facts before they made a resolution? I just wondered if it would be appropriate for me to send a response back to the chairman and say, it would have been nice if someone would have been asked to present what it was about before they made a resolution opposing it.
There was supposedly possibility of representation of leadership from city and county that were possibly going to make that meeting and visit with them. Do you know if that occurred?
I don't know because I couldn't make the meeting, so I don't know.
Mr. Chairman,
This Thursday.
Commissioner or Mayor Como, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I'm sitting here with Chief Pacheco, who attends each and every one of those meetings, and no one did show up. And I don't think, from speaking with some of those who were at the meeting, I just think it's, again, the information, more information on the facts, where the money's going to be spent from and the like. We really need to get a hold of this. There's a meeting coming up here this Thursday. And I think it's imperative that we get somebody from the committee that shows up and provides some information here about that. I don't know. I'll sure help where I can. I don't know if Commissioner Shanefield is available, but we need to make sure that we're, sending the right message. And I think it's lack of information that has caused the GOP to oppose the idea of the tax.
Well, and yeah, and I agree with you with everything you said, but there's one more caveat. The GOP and many of its leadership have taken a oath to no new taxes, no taxes. So they fully are expected to come out with that stance. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we still cannot get information out to what this tax is about, as well as go visit with them and see what the issues are. I know I'm out of town this week on Thursday, but I don't know if anybody that's on that general tax committee would be willing to go and talk with them, or any of the leadership from our cities. So I don't know what to say. I'd be willing to, but I'm not here.
Mr. Chairman, I'm this week going to start making some calls to the members and have a talk with them about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and just get their ideas, concerns of if it's anything other than just no new taxes, what that may be. So that might help the committee moving forward.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Tillman. Appreciate
Commissioner
you.
Wendling,
Yeah,
sorry.
Commissioner Zadi. Councilman Zadi.
I think there's an element of there that it's no new taxes, and it's for anything. But there's also, from people I've talked to, people are willing to pay a tax if they know what it's for, and they're 100% confident that that's what it's going to be used for, and it's going to be utilized in the right manner. I think the issue is, and it's not, we can blame other people for not coming to us to get information, but it really falls on us. It's our fault. It's our lack of getting that information out and they look on this. And that's why they took the stance they did. You have a month and a half before this election, and we still don't know what we're doing with our MOUs or anything else. And that's going to be a hard one to sell to groups like the GOP when they want to know what this money's for, who's going to participate, and where it's going to go. That's that information. And I think we're so far behind the 8 ball on this. I really have concerns at this even passing at this point.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, thank you. Appreciate the comments. Any other comments? That's what the floor is for.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, if I could, just to add to what Councilor Zadi had stated, I know that some of the concern also is the discussion of making the tax permanent quickly, which we should not even be saying that. We should prove the need, like we did with the 5th cent, and show the taxpayers that it's being utilized for what we said it was going to be utilized for. And then there's some concern and maybe confusion over the general purpose tax versus specific purpose tax, and it's not specific. And I think that caused some heartburn with the GOP as well. So
yeah, I agree with you. General versus the specific, and what the other terminology that crosses over is, when I looked at Pamela, the first thing that caught me was 6 penny. And 6 penny is associated with specific purpose for so many years that I think we're truly better off to reference it as a general purpose tax that would then fall in place as a penny above the 5-cent tax, which would become now a 6-cent tax. It's not the 6 cents tax, which is originally tied to specific purpose. So I think that's real key to keep those apart. I think your other comment is I'm in favor very much of a resolution that this referendum will be voted on again in 3 years when the what I would say, general election takes place, which would tell people that it's not going to be permanent, as well as it will give us an opportunity that we have proven ourselves. So if the intent is, not to make it permanent, then let's be front and let's do a resolution stating such. Anything else, councilman, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I just did receive, the GOP has a pamphlet out, basically explaining their reasoning why they're against the tax. I don't know if you've seen that,
No, I haven't.
but I'm going to forward it to the group
Thank you.
so everybody has this information and they can see. And then it's probably best to reach out, not just the committee, but everybody that has an interest here. Reach out and answer some of these questions. Because it's going to be something that if we intend to get this passed, it's going to take our due diligence in getting it passed.
Well, it's going to, and the other aspect is there's been groups that will be asking to come forward and talk before them and talk about the information to make sure it's accurate. And we'll have that conversation with our attorneys to see if that's the route we want to go or not. Okay, let's take a look. Anything else for next meeting? And we got Cole meeting plus or the Cole communities grant that we'll get have comments on from the county. And we'll continue to work with this. I think our legalese have plenty to work on quickly. And then get it to the general purpose committee that can get things moving along with the MOU. Anything else? Looking ahead, next meeting. 1 week, 2 weeks, committee? 3 weeks. First, then we're getting into October. Mayors?
Mr. Chairman, I think we don't go any longer than probably the week of the 27th. I'm thinking Wednesday, Thursday. I'm out Monday, Tuesday, but I think we need to get back together.
Let's do, let's look at Thursday, the 30th, Mayor. Gives you a day to clean anything up that you need to and go Thursday, the 30th.
Good with me.
Anybody else? Mayor
I
Russ?
I was going to say the same thing, Mr. Chairman. And, the bottom line is we're going to have to really be diligent in making the comments and getting them back, having them reviewed by the attorneys and acting on that right away. And then we're going to have to start, unless the attorneys believe otherwise, we're going to have to start doing, I've had requests from, for instance, the senior citizens. They would be happy to have some people come and explain to them all the differences that we've talked about today and all the clarifications that are necessary.
I agree with you, but real players right now, and I think is where it's all coming together as a general purpose committee. In taking a look at that information sheet and working with the legalese and getting it put together. I will, if it's all right with the group, I will work with our county attorney's office to get a resolution regarding that the tax won't go, beyond, that it'll go before the voters at the next meeting if this group's agreeable with that.
I certainly am.
Commissioner Wendling, may I interject something momentarily?
Sure, go ahead.
Again, you can talk to your attorneys about this, but I don't see any reason why any of you can't go to any group and speak freely about the tax if you feel that it should be supported. I think that you can show up and answer questions. I think that all of you individually can promote the tax if you see fit to do so, and do so publicly and in groups and so forth. I don't see any reason why you can't do that. You have every right under the First Amendment to do that. So I would actually encourage everybody in the group to go and speak with community groups if they really are in favor of the tax. Make sure that they understand how important it is. Give that message to them. And there isn't anything that in my mind legally would prohibit you from doing that simply because you're members of the government. That certainly doesn't stop you from making political comments, as you know.
Thank you very much. As we know, sometimes we make the wrong ones, Richard. So with that, anything else? Is that all, Tim? All right. What do you think the resolution?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, what was that?
What do you think about coming forth? Mayor Russ and I support bringing a resolution forward about this not going beyond 3 years. It'll go before the voters again. It just don't automatically be renewed.
Absolutely. I think that that shows some credibility in our intention. Let the voters find out that the tax is worthwhile, and if they did approve it, that they approved it for a good reason, and shows some integrity in the group. I like it.
Okay, I'll work on that and make sure it's at our first meeting in October. So that'll help us. I think the rest of it is talking points should be the same, like Attorney Beckwith commented that any of us could talk about it. But I think what was really important is that we all had something, so we were talking the same language, sharing the same information. So I'll resort back to the importance of informational pamphlet to work off of. So again, that brings some quickness and real urgency to looking at what's been presented, which our attorneys do know that already. So does anybody object to moving in that direction? If that pamphlet gets okayed and that type of thing, I think it needs to be sent out so we know it's okayed, mayors, before anything moves forward. So we'll wait for approval from our attorneys. Thank you. Anything else? All right, with that being said, I will set the agenda for Thursday, September 30th. And it'll pretty well have the same agenda with the addition. If the mayors or of any of the towns or the cities get a hold of me and want something else put on, I will put that on the agenda so that we have it. And again, Sally will get the agenda out. With that, there's no more business before this intergovernmental joint leadership group. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Moved by Commissioner Lloyd to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Be safe and really appreciate the efforts everybody's putting in. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.